we know how the year ended up going. For a lot of us, it didn't end up being very good, so we're gonna talk about that a little bit. So in 2020, I had 3 main resolutions. I had some side resolutions too, but my main ones, I wrote them down on a sticky note, stuck it on my wall. That's what I did for 2019, and so I want to do it again for 2020. So the first one was that I was supposed to have a certain amount in my savings account by the end of the year. The second one was that I was supposed to have a certain amount of gigs, like as a freelancer, by the end of the year. And the third thing was I was supposed to have 15 additional YouTube videos uploaded to YouTube by the end of the year. I think I only ended up making 1 or something last year, maybe 2 last year, but still I didn't make it, and that was just like fully on me. So the reason why I'm sharing this is because at the beginning of 2020 I had a corporate job, and with the corporate jobs you have the 9 to 5, you have like a steady, stable income that comes in every single month. And so I based off all my 2020 goals off of that. I think it was like March 20th. And I remember because Animal Crossing had just dropped for Nintendo Switch, which I love and I was super excited about. But I got the call that I was being temporarily laid off. And I thought I was going to be gone for like a month. But then, obviously, it wasn't 2 weeks, it wasn't a couple weeks, it wasn't a month, it wasn't 6 months. In May 2020, I ended up getting permanently let go. And I was like, okay, well, this is, this sucks, and I need to, really consider what my life is going to be like now, because this job isn't coming back. So, that started a whole bunch of other things, but that's a story for another time. Hey everyone, Future Editing Cal here. Just want to give a quick content warning that there will be food-related New Year's resolutions coming up. Nothing too detailed or graphic, but just giving the heads up for folks who are listening to this video like a podcast. Okay, take care, bye. The point that I'm trying to make here is that we have created this really unhealthy culture for resolutions, like New Year's resolutions. And by all means, I am not saying that goals are bad. I think goals are awesome, because obviously we want to keep on evolving as people, we want to keep growing as people. But we have created this weird culture of like shaming people and shaming ourselves and feeling like failures if we don't hit that goal. Like, it's so classic for someone to like have a goal of like, I'm gonna eat like vegetables, for example. I'm gonna eat vegetables every single day for like 1 meal, during this year, right? And then you do it for like 3 weeks, and then you don't do it because, or like you just like fall off because, it's hard to build habits. And then you feel like a failure for it. And then it kind of like sets this like weird tone for the rest of the year that no, I didn't fulfill my 2018 New Year's resolution. Then you just like feel sad, right? So there's this like almost like very like rigid, competitive, I guess like capitalist almost in nature, idea with resolutions that make you feel like you have to go, or you shame yourself for failing. You just like feel like a failure. And my friends, the solution to this is the idea of intentions, and that's what I'm talking about for this video. Intentions are the way to go. Hello. The bathroom is the quietest place currently in the apartment, so I'm gonna like shoot this segment here. Also, these are very cute, so I'm going to wear them while I record this segment. I want to talk about how intentions and resolutions are very different from each other, even though they're kind of similar. So the main difference between a resolution and an intention is that a resolution, for me, in my opinion, is a lot more rigid. It's a lot more measurable, and measurable things are good when it comes to goals. It's good to say, I'm gonna do this, this amount of times in this blank, in like this week or month, or in a certain time frame, right? But the problem about it is that because of the culture that we've put around resolutions, we now have this ability to fail when it comes to resolutions. Whereas an intention is an idea, right? So it is more fluid, it is a lot more like human in nature. You put yourself first, you put yourself in a place of improvement versus a place of I have to follow these like stricter kind of rules. Alright, so how can you make intentions for yourself for 2021 that are unique and specific to you? I'm going to ask you some questions that might help you shape those intentions, and I'll give you some of, my backstory with how I created mine. So the first question I want to ask is, what did you lack last year? Give you a moment to think about that. So I really like this one because it helped me shape my first one. So my first intention, I have two, just kept it short and sweet. My first one is to live simply. And what that means for me is that at the end of 2020, I got really, really overwhelmed very quickly over decisions and all these new things happening in my life and new systems that I put in place for my business. I moved out, so that was just this big new change, and I really didn't want to mess up. I got really overwhelmed with all the new things and all the decisions to make and all the pathways I could choose, and it made me just not choose anything, and I got stuck often. I didn't have a lot of clarity, and so for 2021 I told myself I want to live simply. So what that means is when I get overwhelmed, I can feel it in my body. When I get overwhelmed, I take a step back and I'm like, okay, how do I take the scenario? How do I make it the simplest version of what it can be? And from there, I'm able to protect my energy, I'm able to make a decision, I'm able to move forward, and I'm able to just keep it simple. Keep it simple. So that's mine. The second question I want to ask you is, what media inspires you and why? This one helped inspire my second intention, and that is to have bold actions. So I watched this TED Talk, which talked about how success is not a direct result of intelligence, but boldness.
When you're really smart, you're really good at predicting all the possible negative outcomes, so you never take action.
And that's not to argue that intelligence isn't important or that it's not a part of success. If someone is wildly intelligent and they do not go out and put themselves out there, or they don't put it into action, or they don't do anything about it, that intelligence will literally just stay in its one spot. It's essentially just taking ideas and opportunities and intelligence and all those fun attributes and putting it in action, giving it legs to move, and that's what boldness is. When it comes to boldness, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have success every single time, but for me, I interpret that as increasing the opportunity for success. Say for example, there's an opportunity to work with a creator. If I go out and ask them, I'm like, hey, I really love your work, is there a way that I can work with you, or whatever, I ask whatever question I want to ask, and they reject me and they're like, Cal, get away from me, I don't want to work with you, right? That's okay. And it's okay to have that failure. It's okay to have that rejection, because, woo, I'm burping. It's okay to have that failure, because next time that I go out and I'm like, oh, I want to do this thing, but it scares me, I will have that much more of confidence and that much more courage to go out and try to do the things that I want to do. And if I keep on doing that over and over again, I will build competence and confidence around putting myself out there and living boldly. And I recognize that 2 questions aren't enough, so I'm going to give you a couple more that I wrote down. What do you need to remember when you get stuck? And that is kind of like a mantra for me. It's kind of like how I remind myself to live simply when I get overwhelmed. It's just a thing I have to remind myself, a thing that I repeat to myself that calms me down and helps me, come back to the situation at hand. Held that for too long. That was kind of weird. Another one is, what are attributes you'd like to improve? So I guess that is more of a self-reflection one. You just want to improve certain parts of yourself. They could be weaknesses, they could just be strengths that you want to build upon, or a new talent, or a new characteristic. It could be anything. The last one is, what attributes do you admire in others and how did they get them? So I guess the example that I have for this one is, if you meet someone and they're really friendly, they're super friendly, and you're like, wow, I really admire that person is super friendly, they have a lot of friends, they go out and they talk to a whole bunch of people, and people just like them. You might want to think about how they are friendly. So maybe that can mean for you, live empathetically. It could be live compassionately. It could be something about charisma. I don't know. Something around that, and just kind of break down what makes someone friendly And then from there, maybe you can start making your intentions in that kind of way. Finally, when setting intentions, it is very important to be self-compassionate and to not judge yourself. Back to what I was saying about intentions versus resolutions. I know that with myself, I tend to judge myself more with resolutions. With intentions, you want to be self-compassionate. And I talk about that a little bit more in my video next week. So hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up button, I think, if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Happy 2021, everyone. I'm super, super excited for this year, for all of us, and for it to be better than 2020. I don't think that it can, I'm just not going to talk. I'm just not going to jinx it. I'm just not going to jinx it. Have an awesome 2021. Hope to see you soon, and take care. Bye-bye now.